Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I haven't been on in a little while, but I am here today to talk to you guys about adding in the papers and the using the jewelry cord, the stretchy, I guess it's like plastic type material to hold the papers in on the interior, and then how we're going to attach them on the cards. Before I do that, I did want to briefly show you where I ended up with things on the interior. I did make a couple of cards. I believe I already showed you the journaling cards and this pocket, but I did make a couple of tags. So I made this from a scrap and then used a little bit of stenciling in blue to kind of match that in. And then I created this pocket here out of book paper. So this is a 4-pocket page here, 1, 2, 3, and then back here, if you don't glue it down, it could be a pocket. And that one's really nice because you can use a very long tag in the back, whereas these are a little bit shorter, so you have to use shorter tags. But I just used some recycled paper from the envelope there with a little bit of deco, one of the words, and then just added a couple of buttons. They're pretty flat, so just for a little extra decoration. And then I did make a couple of tags. So I made this tag here, is roses from a, not wrapping paper, I'll get it, tissue paper. So I did a little bit of stamping in the back, and I used tissue paper, and I really liked the image a lot, so I didn't want to decorate over it. So I just left it and added a little bit of seam binding. And the backing on all of this is recycled paper that I get out of my Amazon orders. So that nice long tag can go in the back. Then I made a smaller tag. This is made out of leftover file folder that I used for this pocket here. I also added a same type pocket in the back. So that one, I just used some of the fussy cut items out and with rose. And this is some pink paper I already had. I just added in some book paper. And then again, this is leftover tracing paper type stuff from the envelope. So I've got that. And then again, just a little bit of leftover file folder, and I just added some paper and some lace for that one. And then I had some of these, I think they were originally meant to be journaling cards, but I made them into little notebooks and did a little bit of stenciling on the inside, just plain paper. And I just did a simple 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and I just used some matching blue floss in that. And so that is that pocket. And yeah, and then another one back here. So I think I've already shown you these cards here. So we're all set for that. So now today we can go ahead and add in our papers. So what I have here is some micropore, which is basically paper tape for putting on things like bandages when you have like a flat bandage that you don't want adhesive. These are what they use in the hospitals, and it comes in white and it's kind of this craft color. So if you're doing a craft envelope color, this would be perfect for that. It's a little bit thicker than a regular paper tape. I've seen paper tape that is definitely thinner and more transparent than this. It also doesn't take color great. You can ink it up, but it's not like an awesome thing. So we're gonna try to be very conservative on how we put it on the journal so that we can then cover it up with some lace afterwards. So we're gonna put away that one. And then of course this cord here, which you can find in the jewelry aisle, that will hold the papers in place. I think I might have pulled the wrong end. I did. Oh well, that's okay. Let's leave that there. All right, so we got that. And the other thing that you will need are your papers. So we have two sizes. We've got the inside in between the envelopes. And in this case, these are, I remember what they are, 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. So I took off basically 1/8 on either side. So I made my papers for the inside. If you're doing 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 envelopes, then you can do 5 1/8 by 7 1/8 paper. So that's what I did for the inside. But then the cards are a different size because they have to fit in there. So these particular cards were, were 5 by 7. So I made the papers 1/8 of an inch smaller. So it's 4 and 7/8 by 6 and 7/8 for the papers that are going to go inside of the actual card. So before we get started, the best thing to do is to empty out the journal, just to make it easier and not accidentally grab anything that you don't mean to grab in there. So we'll just take everything out here. 1, 2, 3 cards. We're good. Oh, got this here and these. All right. So here's kind of the empty journal. And what we want to do is we want to put the micropore tape on the outside of this spine because we want to reinforce it so that as we're wrapping this cord, it doesn't tear into the spine and rip it. Just a little extra reinforcement. So there's a couple ways you can do this. If you decide that you want your journal just as is, you don't want to put a cover on it, and you obviously would want to put in some papers on the back of it. I'm not going to. I'm going to put a hard cover on just to give it a little extra protection. You may want to consider cutting this down. I believe this is 1 inch. Yeah, this is 1 inch wide tape, so you might want to consider cutting it down. For me, since I'm going to be gluing this back onto a hard cover, I don't care what's back there. So what I can do is be more conservative, whoops, as I fold it, be more conservative with my placement on the front, and I can have all the excess tape on the back. So we're just going to go ahead and put that on. So I'm going to just butt up right about here on the paper and get that on. And then we'll cut that off and wrap it around to the back. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off, and I'll trim the excess here in just a bit. Sorry, I don't think I was in frame on that. Apologies. So putting all the excess onto the back. And you could put extra glue on here if you're afraid that it might lift. I've made this before. I didn't have any problems, so I'm not too worried about it. Plus it'll be glued down, and there's going to be lace over the top, so I'm a little less concerned about that. So I'm just going to go ahead and press it on quite firmly onto that spine. Just make sure it's really adhered. And then what we can do is just open it up and very carefully, you don't want to open up the top of your envelope, very carefully trim that off. Sorry, I think I'm out of frame again, you guys. I apologize. I keep messing with my setup to get it as easy as possible to film. It's not the easiest chore in the world, and when I get it in the viewfinder and then I turn the camera on, it actually ends up being a smaller than what I thought it was going to be when I see it on camera. So And then go ahead and cut that little excess off. If you did accidentally open up your envelope, not a big deal. Just put a little bit of glue it shut. Okay, so now we have that on, and you can kind of see like it's pretty good at covering, but you can tell it's not exactly transparent, but it's not horrible. All right, so next we're going to use this cord here to basically create, it's almost like a traveler's notebook with the cording, and the paper slips underneath the cording. So it's kind of cool. I love traveler's notebooks, like the real, just traveler's notebooks. I use that a lot for my planners that I have. I have several different sizes because I can never just settle on one. But yeah, so what we're gonna do is wrap this around the inside. Now you wanna wrap it, you don't want it loose, but you don't want it super tight either. And over time, this cord will probably lose some of its elasticity. So I am gonna pull slightly on this. So here would be kind of like loose right here. It's just laying natural. And then I'm just gonna pull ever so slightly and then wrap it around to the back, okay? Then you're gonna wanna flip the next page and you're gonna wrap it back around in between the envelopes. So here's number 2. I'm just using my thumb and kind of unraveling this. And again, I don't want it loose, like just laying it there. I don't want to just normal. I'm just going to slightly pull it just to get a little bit of tension. Flip that over. The same thing on this side. Okay. I'm still holding that loose piece from the very first one. Okay. Make that a little bit more. Okay. And again, just slight tension here. Wrap it around to the back. Again, still holding everything, flipping to the last page. Wrapping that around here to the back. Slight, as we go around, slight tension to the back, okay? Now, when we're in the back here, we're gonna wanna tie a knot. And I kind of tie it up a little bit up here. I don't want it just down. You can put it down and you can glue it. But I'm going to put it slightly to the back of the spine so that I can cover it completely with the lace and I don't have to worry about it unraveling. So for now, I'm gonna go ahead and just go ahead and snip off a tail. And we're gonna go ahead and do a square knot, just like you're tying off pretty much anything else that you do in journaling with when it comes to pamphlet stitch or whatever else, okay? And it's, it can be a little fussy, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm going to try to put my finger on there. And I'm half blind. I don't even know where the end went. Where did you go, end? Where did you go? Oh my, there he is. All right, we'll get there. It's a little fussy. And it's clear, so it's not the easiest thing to see. I am just having a devil of a time, aren't I? One more time, I'll get that second knot in here. Oh my goodness. I can do it, I promise. All right. Definitely not the same as using string. It is just, all right. One more time, we're gonna get it. We're just gonna lay it down flat. I know you can't see it when I'm laying it down flat, guys, but honestly, this cording is very slippery. It doesn't wanna hold on its own, so I'm trying to get it with my finger and still be able to do my square knot. Okay, finally got it. There we go. So tie it pretty tight there. And so hopefully you can see that, or I've got that. I know it's clear, but so basically my little knot's right here along the spine. So when I wrap the lace around it, it's gonna cover that up. And I've seen a lot of people just do it down here and kind of glue it. And I just don't wanna mess with that, honestly. I just don't. So if If you're concerned, you can knot it one more time, but that's pretty secure. And you can see there's a little bit of tension here. So before you glue on any coverings, just make sure that your strings, one final check just to make sure it's got a little bit of tension in each one. Okay, nothing too tight, but enough to hold the papers in once you slide them under. All right, happy with that. All right, looks good. Turn that this direction if I can. And I'll cut these off, these little, looks like little antenna right now. I'll cut those off right before I glue that on. Okay, so that's that. Let's add our papers to it just so that you can kind of see what that looks like. What's really great about this is as you use up your paper, you can replace it with this. So I like this kind of journal. It's great for like note taking, etc. And versus like memory keeping or whatnot. You probably want to use, if you want to replace the papers, you probably would have to create yet another storage of your papers as you took them out because you wouldn't want to lose them. So there is the paper inside there. And it looks like this possibly could even be cut down just a little further. I may go ahead and trim that actually down just a smidge here. And I am putting two pages in here, or 2 sheets. So that's 8 pages per section. That is going to end up going in here. And like I said, I may just tiny smidge take that off just to make sure that my papers don't hang out. All right, so now we've got all the cards. And the cards are a little different. So you may remember I dyed this seam binding up custom colored, and I'm going to wrap, rather than the cord, we're going to wrap this inside here. And we're going to tie it in a bow along the spine. So that's how this is going to go. And I'm looking at this color and I actually feel like I might want to make it a little bit more purpley blue. As it's kind of dried and sat, I'm realizing I don't really love the color. So we're going to use the green as an example color for today, and then I will re-dye my seam binding just to get a little bit of a better match. Okay, which one was the outside now? Technically, I guess it could go either way, but I think I had it this way. So what I would do here with your seam binding or ribbon, if you want to use ribbon, is just lay it down, measure out an estimation here for tying this in a little bow. Okay, that's what I do. And then obviously you want a little bit of ends. And then what you can do once you get that done, the easiest way to go about it is to snip your ribbon, and you have 3 cards. So you're gonna want three lengths all the same. So I'd cut that exactly here, 2, and then right here for 3. I mean, they don't have to be perfect, obviously, but that'll give you 3 lengths, and then that's plenty to wrap the book in. As a matter of fact, that's more than. I always make sure I have a little extra, because quite honestly, whatever you don't use in this journal, you can go ahead and throw into your snippet bucket and use in the future for tag toppers or on snippet rolls or anything else. Trim whatever you want. So I never worry about having a little bit of extra. So this is plenty here in order to do that. And if the crinkliness, I already cut one off. Where'd it go? There we go. If the crinkliness bugs you, you can always re-wet your ribbon and pull it out and let it dry more straight. It doesn't bother me at all. it will become straighter anyways, as you are going to want to tie this fairly, again, with some pretty good tension, because the papers need to go in there. You don't want them to slip out. So I'm just going to make this a little bit more even and tie this fairly snugly here into a bow. Okay, and if it's too long for you, you can always trim off your ends a little bit. Okay, so there is the, of course I didn't put it flat, but you get the drift. I know you get the drift. All right, so there is that secured on here. Okay, and then you take your papers, same thing, slide them underneath. All right, that will secure them. Gonna slide that over. There you go. And now they're secured in here with the ribbon. When you put your card in, I don't generally slide my paper in. So I generally will just slide just the edge in, just like we did when we were storing them in here before we got to the paper part. And there you have it. So you can see when you get 3 of those on here, just how cute that will be with the little bows hanging out the side. All right, so for today, I'm not gonna finish those up because you got the gist there, and I will do the rest of that off camera. What I am going to do is go ahead and finish up my spine here, so I can cover up all the strings and just make sure like everything is secure there. I have this little bit of lace from the last one that I created. So I'm just going to decide which way I want it. And I think I want it this way. And I think I want it about, I guess about a ½ an inch in here over the spine, and then the rest will wrap over, and it will also cover my little antennas here that I've got going on. So I'm going to trim down those just a bit. I'm not gonna trim all the way down, but just enough here. There we go. Then I'm gonna go ahead and glue this on and cover up the cording there. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and try to use, I think, my art glitter glue for this. All right, so we're just gonna put that right about there. Make sure I like that, and then it's even. Yep, I think that looks good. Whoops, darn it, I moved it. All right, and then on the back side, I don't have to be really delicate here since it's going to get covered up. So I'm just going to go ahead and liberally put some of this glue on those edges, and can even glue some here and just wrap that around. Okay, I'll let that dry fully before I start cutting off the edges here. I hope you guys are staying safe, healthy, and are enjoying watching videos from home. And hopefully this one, if nothing else, made you laugh at my goofiness and inability to tie a knot with cording. But I'll be back hopefully in the next day or two to work on the final piece, which is the cover, and then we'll be done. And this is a gift from my mom, who I won't be seeing anytime soon, but it'll be ready to go when I do get to see her. So hope all is well. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.